Researchers have found that fentanyl deaths have increased more than 1,000% over 6 years, with the largest increase seen in younger adults. With us now to break down this and other health stories is Dr. Caudle, family physician and associate professor at Rowan University. Dr. Caudle, thank you so much for being here today. Happy Friday.
Thank you. Happy Friday to you, too.
So, Dr. Caudle, I just read that statistic. Researchers at the National Center for Health Statistics found that the rate of 15 to 24-year-olds who died from fentanyl overdoses increased about 94% each year between 2011 and 2016. Now, those numbers are staggering. You know that. From a medical perspective, what can we do to combat this?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things we need to do. And let me first off start by saying that fentanyl is something that we've recently started seeing on the streets. Just so that everyone knows, fentanyl is typically is a prescription medication that is 50 to 100 times more powerful than morphine. Now it's being made illicitly, and we're seeing it on the streets, and it literally is killing people. Hannah, there's a lot of things we got to do here. Education is a big one. Doctors, we need to be educated. Law enforcement, opioid overdose treatment centers, Narcan. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. But you're right about the major point is that something needs to be done.
Switching gears here, this story making a lot of headlines. The FDA has approved the first drug to treat postpartum depression. Now, how is this drug different from other depression medications, doctor, and how will it help new moms?
Yeah, so this drug is really different, and honestly, it's kind of exciting. This is a drug approved just for postpartum depression, which affects 1 in 9 women. Postpartum depression is very, very serious. It's not just the baby blues. It can be downright deadly for women. So this is a really important advancement that we're seeing. This medication is different because, for one, it's a hormonally based medication. That's how it works. But the other thing is that it's actually given IV. A woman who wants to take this medication and a doctor who thinks it's appropriate, the woman needs to be almost admitted into a supervising healthcare facility. And a doctor who's certified needs to administer the medication, and she needs to be watched overnight. So there's a lot of differences about it, but apparently it works fast-acting, which is very exciting.
It is very interesting. So do you think this new drug will pave the way for other drugs or treatments for mothers with postpartum depression?
I'm hoping so. You know, we really haven't had a lot for postpartum depression, and you know, it seems like this medication is promising. Now, there are a few potential side effects. Women have to be monitored for loss of consciousness and decreased oxygenation, among other things. But, you know, we'll see how well this drug does with women, and hopefully, as you mentioned, it will pave the way for other medications for this very important condition.
Let's talk about vaccinations. This has been in the headlines a lot in the last few months. You know this. We've been covering vaccinations very closely here on Cheddar News. And this week, Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin said he and his wife deliberately exposed their kids to chickenpox instead of vaccinating them. First, is this common? And is this an alternative to getting the actual vaccination?
Is it common? I don't know that it's common, but there are some parents who choose to expose their child to a condition like chickenpox rather than get vaccinations. Is this an alternative? In my opinion, as a family doctor, absolutely not. I do not agree with the idea of deliberately exposing your child to chickenpox or any other infectious disease, for that matter, to confer immunity, especially when we have a vaccine. I think people forget that we didn't have the vaccine until the 90s. And before then, millions of kids got chickenpox every year, but tens of thousands were hospitalized, and even hundreds died from complications of the chickenpox. Don't take this chance with your child or your children. We have a vaccine that's relatively 90% safe, 90% effective after 2 doses, and very safe. So no, this in my eyes, no, this is not an acceptable alternative. No.
So you think it can be harmful to the child?
It's possible, and especially if that child comes around infants or another child or person with a weakened immune system, a pregnant woman, etc. It could be even more dangerous for that person. So no, I would not deliberately expose your child to chickenpox to give them immunity. We have safe and effective vaccines. I think, and I know, that's the way to go.
All right, Dr. Caudle, always a pleasure. Thank you always for your insight.
Thank you.
Thank you again for being on Cheddar News.